Welcome to The Spanish Tutor. I'm your host, Ian the Bean. Alright, so we'll start with the basics, just the alphabet first. And here we go! A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And of course, there are a few special letters unique to Spanish. Ñ, E, R. I can't roll my R's. Ch. We'll talk a little more about your pronunciation of the letters later on. Right now, don't worry about it. Let's move on to something that you can use. I'll try and keep it fun, but you gotta write down everything that we go over so that you're not just looking at it. You have to actually write it down and you'll learn it better. Deal? Alright, we're gonna dive right into saying your own name or someone's name. Don't worry. If you need to pause, go back, do whatever you need to. I'll be nice to you. Me llamo literally translates as I call myself, but you can use it to say my name is as well. Te llamas means you call yourself or your name is. Se llama means he calls himself or she calls herself or his name is or her name is. Notice that the llama or llamo or llamas changes in every one. It changes depending on who you're talking about. So let's put it together into a sentence. Me llamo Ian means I call myself Ian or my name is Ian. Now you try. One thing to note is that the word llamo or llamas or llama is the verb in these phrases. That'll be important later, don't worry about it right now too much. The next phrase is Te llamas Raúl, which means you call yourself Raúl or your name is Raúl. Notice that Te llamas is changed from Me llamo. It's because you're talking about a different person. Me llamo means I call myself. Te llamas means you call yourself. And finally, se llama Roberta. She calls herself Roberta or her name is Roberta. Again, the se llama changed from me llamo and te llamas. We're not going to worry too much about the rules right now because for this verb they're fairly complex. But I just want you to go out and practice these three phrases on different people. So go ahead and pause the video and go practice. To say the bread in Spanish, you say el pan. Our next topic is describing yourself. First, we'll start with the basics of verbs and verb conjugations. And of course, you can't talk about verbs without talking about pronouns because conjugations change according to the pronouns. Here are the pronouns in English. I, you, he, she, we, you all, and they. Now, here are the Spanish pronouns, los pronombres. Yo is I, tú is you, él is he, nosotros is we, ustedes is you all, and ellos or ellas is they. Be sure to be writing all this down because this is really important. Alright, so approaching this from an English-speaking perspective, the idea of a verb conjugation does seem a little weird because we don't really conjugate verbs that much. But we do have one verb that has a pretty clear conjugation, and that's the verb to be. A good way to talk about conjugations is the verb to be. In English, the verb to be is conjugated I am, you are, he or she is, we are, you all are, or they are. Notice that the last word, the am or the are or the is, changes based on what the subject is, what the pronoun is. So the first word's the pronoun, and the second word does change a little bit as we go throughout the verb. I am, you are, he is. Or you could always refer to me as crazy by saying I'm loco. And so with that, let's dive into the first Spanish verb conjugation that you're going to learn. The verb ser, which means to be. Now this conjugation's a little bit irregular, but don't worry, most of the conjugations have pretty clear rules that you can follow. This one you'll have to learn on its own, but for the most part, don't worry in the future, just learn this one. So working with the Spanish pronouns, los pronombres, that you already learned, we're going to conjugate the verb ser. Yo soy means I am. Tú eres means you are. Él es means he is. Ella es means she is. Nosotros somos means we are. Ustedes son means you all are. Ellos son means they are. And ellas son also means they are. Now I want you to pause the video and practice writing out the conjugation a few times. I know it sounds stupid, but just do it. It'll help you remember it. It'll help you practice writing the words. And as always, feel free to rewind the video and pause it to look at whatever you need to look at. With any of the describing words I'm about to show you that end in O, they can also end in A. It depends on who you're describing. O is masculine, so if you're saying something about a boy, it ends in O. A is feminine, so if you're saying something about a female, it ends in A. The book, el libro. Now that you're back, we're going to talk about some basic describing words. Alto means tall. Bajo means short. Inteligente means smart. Perezoso means lazy. Delgado means thin. Gordo means fat. And fuerte means strong. You'll notice the /a at the ends of certain words. This means that the adjective can either be masculine or feminine. If you're describing a male, a boy, it ends in O. Alto. Él es alto. He is tall. If you're describing a female, it ends in A. Ella es alta. She is tall. So, yo soy alto means I am tall. And since I know you've been pausing to write down all the verb conjugations and the vocab words, now go back and try combining the verb conjugation for the verb ser with some of these describing words. The pen, la pluma. And now for a few sample sentences. Él es inteligente means he is intelligent. Ella es delgada means she is thin. Notice that delgada ends in an A because it's feminine, you're describing a female. Yo soy gordo means I am fat. Notice that gordo ends in an O because it's describing me, a male, a boy. Another important thing to remember is that if you're talking about a group of more than one people, so you're saying something like, they are tall. In Spanish, you add an S onto the end of the word tall because the word tall has to be plural, just like the group that you're describing. Ellos son perezosos means they are lazy. Note the S on the end of the word perezoso. We added it because you're describing a group of people, more than one person, so you need an S to express that in the adjective. Tú eres bajo means you are short. Since bajo ends in an O, we can assume that it's referring to a male. Nosotros somos fuertes means we are strong. Again, note the S at the end of the word fuerte. It means that you're referring to a plural group, and we, of course, is a plural group, more than one person. The pencil. El lápiz. So here are some things to review and write out over and over and over and over. The conjugation of the verb ser, which means to be. Yo soy, I am. Tú eres, you are. Él es, he is. Ella es, she is. Nosotros somos, we are. Ustedes son, you all are. Ellos son, they are. Ellas son, they are. Basic describing words: alto, tall. Bajo, short. Inteligente, smart. Perezoso, lazy. Delgado, thin. Gordo, fat. Fuerte, strong.